allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have a motion to open the meeting?
Motion to open the meeting.
James?
I'll second.
Well, I can second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The first item on the, well, I should mention, we're gonna go a little bit out of order tonight, just because there's a couple things that we can move quickly off the agenda, and then we can get into the other stuff. But, so the first thing is still the approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Are there any comments or questions? Do I have a motion to?
To make a motion to accept the minutes for November?
Yep, November 18th, okay.
Second.
James seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we're gonna jump down to the items for discussion / action. There's some things that we just need to kind of go through procedurally more than anything else, and then we'll get those things off the table. We'll start with 10.5 Station Road, 12-1-8.13. Parcel currently contains an existing 30,000 square foot warehouse and 7,366 square foot office space. The proposed project is an 8,680 square foot addition to the front of the building. The additional building proposed will cause the building footprint to be 47,906 square feet, exceeding the 40,000 maximum. Therefore, an area variance will be required for the coverage, for the overage. So what we need to do is consent to the planning board taking lead agency. You'll recall that we had voted to take lead agency status. The planning board has denied that they want to take it. Is that correct, Corey?
That's correct, yep.
So, and then that puts it through a bit more of a traditional procedure for us, rather than us voting first and then going through seeker and all that with us.
Right, initially the applicant was looking for an uncoordinated review, but as it got closer to, or after we declared lead agency, the planning board declared it, they decided that that's where they wanted to examine the secret process. So, being that this is an application for an area variance, we cannot take any action until seeker is complete. So, can put together a motion to consent to the Town of Goshen Planning Board as acting lead agency under seeker for the proposed action known as 10.6.5 Station Road, SBL 12-1-8.13, to acknowledge that the ZBA's prior declaration of lead agency intent is superseded by this consent, so that seeker review may proceed with the planning board as lead agency. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
James seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Hochelaga Mansion, 12-1-21.2. The project site is currently developed and includes an existing 10,830 square foot mansion with parking lot, barn and cottage, i.e. dollhouse. The proposed action is to convert and expand the existing mansion to a 21,518 square foot catering facility. The existing mansion with a floor area of 10,830 square foot is a pre-existing structure which exceeds the 5,000 foot floor area of the code. The applicant is requesting an area variance granting relief to exceed the 5,000 square foot maximum threshold of a small scale business as defined in 97-18C of the zoning code. What we're going to vote on is to schedule a joint public hearing with the planning board for January 15th, 2026.
So I could just add to it, that,
Sure.
as noted, the planning board is the seeker lead agency. We are an involved agency. Accordingly, we will not take testimony or act on the merits of the requested area variance this evening. Only item before us is to schedule said joint public hearing. So I have a motion for the ZBA to schedule a joint public hearing, Town of Goshen Planning Board for January 15, 2026. Is that at 7? Do you know, to recall?
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock p.m. or soon.
Planning board, no.
Planning board.
7:30, sorry, 7:30.
No problem. January 15, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter can be heard regarding the Alta-Roga Mansion application 2-1-21.2, limited to the applicant's request for an area variance from the 5,000 square foot floor area limitation for small scale business use under section 97-18 sub C of the Town of Goshen zoning code. No testimony will be taken, no determination will be made at this time. The board's consideration of the variance will occur only after completion of the secret process. Got a motion?
Why can't we make them come to our meeting?
Make a motion.
They're the big dogs,
Next
all right? I don't know, all right, we only have one variance. If it was like three, I would push.
I'll motion to schedule a joint public hearing with the planning board for January 15th, 2026 at 7:30 PM.
I'll second.
10 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's just stick with this last note here. We have before us the proposed calendar for the coming year. I think it was sent around by Grace. I think the only thing that stands out is that in past years, we've had the first Tuesday in November, we had on our schedule, and then we always have to cancel at the last minute, so it's off this coming year from the beginning. Otherwise, it follows the same first and third schedule that we've been on, first and third Tuesday. Do we have a motion to accept that calendar?
Make a motion to accept the calendar.
And motion?
Second.
Jim seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we're on to the public hearing section of our meeting. The first item on here is 13 Cedar Swamp Road. Is that, where do you wanna go in?
Yeah, I think that's
13 Cedar Swamp
one
Road.
variance versus three, so.
Yeah.
I don't-
Yeah. 13 Cedar Swamp Road, 19-1-67.21. Applicant has submitted a site plan that depicts a 17 by 34 in-ground pool with a 25-yard rear setback. The required minimum is 30-foot, I should say 25-foot rear yard setback. The requirement is 30-foot minimum. The applicant is seeking an area variance for the encroachment. Does everybody recall this?
Mhm.
I can give a quick summary.
Yeah.
This was the application where the pool was permitted. The as-built survey revealed the pool is 5 feet into the rear setback. So variance is required before the C of O can be issued. Pool equipment compliant, not an issue. And then, I believe the applicant wants to represent, they can sum up, but it was constructed during new construction, discovered after installation. One of the corners of the pool encroaches, only one corner of the pool encroaches, there was significant cost and disruption to remove or relocate. No drainage, grading, or neighbor impact initially, what we'll see in the public hearing. The rear yard is wooded and buffered. That's from the record.
I think we mentioned asking about what actual square footage of it is actually.
And just introduce yourself for the record when you, if you wanna
Of
address.
course. My name is Jared Goldberg. I'm the general manager of Anthony and Sylvan Pools. I represented ANS last time as well. You asked, the one action item for me was regarding the total square footage that encroaches upon the setback. It's 18 square feet, which is just under 3% of total pool square footage. It's 575 square feet total of water.
You can,
So you,
if you want, you can have discussion, or you can open it up for the
are
public
there
hearing.
comments or questions people wanna ask before we open up the public hearing?
Okay.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Ken makes that motion.
Second.
James seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, do we?
Tom?
Yeah,
Just if I ask the applicant for the mailings, did you?
Yes, I have the mailings here. I believe they were also sent to the office, but I have additional copies.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I also have 5 plans of the as-built in case anyone did not have one and wants one for discussion.
Great, thank you.
okay, yeah, seen it.
All right, it's open, if there's any members of the public that wish to speak, you could, come up and just, I don't know where our microphone went, you
I
can.
think we're over here, that's the camera we're using, so.
Okay, just introduce yourself, your name and where you're from. This is for the, just to be clear, this is for 13 Cedar Swamp Road. This is a variance regarding the in-ground pool. Okay, hearing no public comment,
Alright, so.
get a motion to close.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
James and Sam,
Second.
and seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Just for the purpose of the record, Mr. Chairman, this application is classified as a type 2 action under SECRA pursuant to 6 NYCRR, section 617.5 sub C sub 12, and therefore no environmental review is required. So we can,
Do you wanna move
if you guys are comfortable, we can move towards the 5-factor test.
Yeah, do you wanna talk about the change in the?
Sure,
procedure
yeah.
here a little bit?
Just, in the past, what we've done is gone through each factor, and then you guys have addressed where, you know, whether you believe that to be like the undesirable change one, or substantial, is it substantial, and I go through and ask you guys. So, I'm gonna try it a little different, because it's a little cleaner for the record and helps with the decision, and incorporates what we've discussed so far, record-wise, incorporating your questions, the applicant's information. So for instance, the first factor, undesirable change and detriment. I'd say the first factor is whether granting the variance would produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The record reflects this is a single-family residential neighborhood. The pool is a typical accessory structure located in the rear yard, screened by fencing and vegetation. Fencing and vegetation. There's no public opposition. Chairman and board members, does anyone see evidence in the record of an undesirable change or neighborhood detriment? It's more of a deliberation. There's no vote on that factor. When we get through the 5 factors, then there'll be discussion before motions made to grant or deny. And during that deliberation is where we could balance the factors in their entirety against each other. Does that make sense to everybody?
I think that the goal is to justify our decision a bit more clearly, so.
Doing it on the front end as
Doing it on the
opposed to
front end.
putting it into the decision and then reviewing the decision and make, so it's all right here. So that's the, you guys can discuss if that's a fair characterization, and if someone wants something else in there or disagrees with it, then it goes into the record. So I'm just trying to tighten up the record as we go along.
Does that make sense to people?
So I'll read it again.
Because the vote really, when we vote on those 5 factors, it really wasn't a vote per se.
Yeah.
It's more of a poll, just so we all had an opportunity to speak, but.
So at the end of the day, we're gonna, with all 5 factors, do you?
Then it's a matter of whether you're granting it off of the balancing.
Much easier.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So again, I'll read this in and then we'll go from there, going down the factors, and then we'll be the same thing if we do that on Milburn, okay?
Sure.
All right. So the first factor is whether granting the variance would produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. The record thus far reflects this is a single-family residential neighborhood. The pool is a typical accessory structure located in the rear yard, screened by fencing and vegetation, and there was no public opposition. So my question to the board is, does anyone see evidence in the record of an undesirable change or neighborhood detriment?
Didn't appear so.
Okay, so we'll leave that in the record as is. Second factor is whether the benefit can be achieved by a feasible alternative without a variance. The pool has already been constructed, and testimony indicates relocation would require demolition and significant site disturbance. So posed a question to the board, is there any feasible alternative in the record that avoids the need for this variance?
I'll speak to it.
Yeah.
I think feasible isn't impossible. So is it feasible that the pool can be reconfigured or reconstructed to comply with the variance? Yes. Is that feasibility gonna factor into the balance? Yes. But I do believe that we have a variance, the line is pretty clear, it's pretty small in terms of the overlap, but it is possible to move the pool or reconfigure it at great cost.
Anybody want to add anything to the discussion?
No,
Okay.
that's pretty good summation.
All right, third factor is substantiality. The variance requested is 5 feet into the required 35-foot rear setback. Board members, do you consider that deviation substantial in the context of this lot and neighborhood?
I I don't consider it substantial in that context, you know, although when you look at it as a percentage, it does appear to be substantial, but I think given the, you know, where it's located and the other factors, environmental factors, I don't think it is substantial.
Anyone wanna add? Say anything else? Fourth factor is whether granting the variance would have an adverse environmental or physical impact. The record contains no evidence of drainage, grading, septic, or runoff issues and no agency concerns. Board members, is there anything in the record suggesting an adverse environmental or physical impact?
No.
Okay, the fifth factor is whether the hardship is self-created. The pool was constructed in a location that does not comply with setbacks, so the hardship is self-created. Board knows this factor alone is not dispositive. Does anyone disagree with that characterization, and does anybody want to add anything as it relates to that?
You're saying it was self-created?
Yeah.
The pool was constructed in a location doesn't comply with the setback, so there, I mean, as you put on the record for about 32 years, that most of them are self-created, right? It's just a matter of where that fits into the balancing test. It is noteworthy that it seems to be an error, not just someone disregarding,
Willful.
right? Yeah, so I think that's noteworthy.
It wasn't a blatant act, right?
No, we self-reported, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is what it is. Can I say one thing regarding, or?
Not during this
We're
stretch.
good?
Okay.
I didn't
Sorry.
anyway.
No, it's all right. No, I'm sure it was gonna be profound, but it's not the right spot. Sorry.
Don't hurt yourself.
So, okay. Based on the board's discussion of the 5 factors, statute requires a balancing determination. The board agrees, does the board agree that the finding would be that the benefit to the applicant outweighs any minimal or non-existent detriment to the community? And if so, I have a motion that could come up before the board, but you guys can also have discussion. This is an opportunity to discuss the weighing of the factors.
I have no problem with this at all.
Nothing.
I don't think
Nothing.
anybody has anything to discuss further.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to accept that?
The motion would be moving to grant the area variance for the property located at 13 Cedar Swamp Road, Section 19, Block 1, Lot 67.21, permitting the existing in-ground swimming pool to be located 25 feet from the rear property line where 30 feet is required, as shown as the as-built survey by Engineering Surveying Properties, BC, revised January 17, 2023. Can you check that date? Is that the date you have? January
For the building permit?
The revised as-built survey. I think you, do I have that date right? January 17th, 2023.
Yeah, 1/17/23.
Great. Based upon the board's findings of balancing under town law, section 267-B, sub 3, sub B, and subject to conditions be set forth in the written decision. Those conditions, if you give me one moment. Okay, conditions being the standard conditions typically imposed, would be prohibit any expansion or intensification beyond what was presented, tie the variances to the life of the pool, and require, any further compliance with, any other boards that they present before planning board or the like. Can I get, someone to make that motion?
Make a motion to grant the variance for 13 Cedar Swamp.
Second?
I'll second it.
Rob seconds.
Okay.
I'm trying to let Bob get as much
Yeah, we've got.
as he can, I'm trying to keep it for you,
No.
not taking it.
Shout it out.
Okay.
All right, so do we
Okay.
just up and down vote?
You can just, I can either roll call it or just all in favor. So we got,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
alright, passes, congrats.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is, Solar Liberty Energy Systems Incorporated, Milburn Road Solar, 18-1-1.3. Proposed solar energy system site on 58.9 plus or minus acres along Milburn Road, Moon Lake Trail and Storms Road in the RU zone with an 18.3 stream corridor and water supply, watershed and scenic road corridor overlays. The application will seek 3 variances. The first is 97-55.E2. The minimum distance between any portion of the solar and photovoltaic energy facility and the street shall be 100 feet, and the minimum distance from any other property line shall be 100 feet. Solar panels are within 15 feet of the property line as proposed, requiring a variance. The solar array is 100 feet or more from all of the property lines. The 97-55F12D, fencing greater than 4 feet in height shall be located 80 feet from property lines. One fence encircles both arrays. However, near the site entrance at the northeast corner of the array, the fence cuts across the new property line, resulting in a 0-foot setback requiring an 80-foot variance. 97-40-C4, driveways on lots with 100 foot more or more of road frontage shall be set back at least 10 feet from all side lots. On lots with less than 100 feet of frontage, no side yard setback shall be required. The property line can be considered a side lot line, which runs along the center line of the driveway. As a result, the driveway is set back 0 feet from the side lot, and a 10-foot variance is required.
Chairman, if I just might add a couple other points. Just to update procedurally, planning board has issued a negative declaration under SECRA. ZBA can rely on that determination. County referral under GML 239 has been completed with a recommendation of local determination. And although you may vote on the application as a whole, Town Law 267B requires the board to consider all 5 statutory factors, and given that there are 3 distinct variance requests, I'm gonna frame those, if we get to that point, I'll frame those 5 factors separately for each variance under the same procedure we just operated under, okay? Do we wanna have applicant kinda,
Yeah, I think that would be helpful just to summarize what those 3.
Sure.
The property, the project, and then what the 3 variances are. I think we all have a pretty good handle on it, but I'd like to kind of go through it one more time.
okay, floor is yours, just announce your
Yeah.
name again and where you're from.
Good evening, Chairman Burnham, members of the board, members of the public. My name is Ari Goldberg from the law firm of Barclay Damon. I am the attorney for the applicant, Solar Liberty and Solar Energy Partners. We were here on, my client John Hurley is here from Solar Energy Partners. He and I were both here at your last meeting, at your meeting on November 18th. At that time, if you recall, I went through the 5 factors related to the variance. That's also contained in Exhibit 2 to the area variance application materials. It pairs exactly with the 5-factor analysis, similar to the one you just went through on the prior variance, and hopefully the one we talk about later tonight. One of the key things that came up at the last meeting, and that I want to reiterate for your benefit as well as for members of the public, is exactly how narrow of a scope these variances are. The area variances before you have nothing to do with solar use. They have nothing to do with the height of panels, necessarily the location of panels either. The 3 variances before you all relate to this internal setback line, this internal division line between Array 1, which is the western portion of the design, and Array 2, which is the eastern portion of the design. So I see, for example, Mr. Bergson has the site plan open. The array on the left side is Array 1, and the one on the right is Array 2. And that road that runs right through them, we propose that have a property line running in the middle of the road. The reason we need to do that, and this came up last time as well, the Public Service Commission in 2021 issued a clarification on one of its requirements for solar projects of 5 megawatts or more to receive funding. The state caps rewards at 5 megawatts. If you have a solar array of 5 megawatts, you can get an award for providing electricity, and you can put those towards covering costs, increased profits, things along those lines. The PSC in 2021 clarified that you can have co-located systems like we have. You could have 2 5-megawatt arrays next to each other, but they need to be on a separate site. Separate site is the word in quotes. What defines separate site includes a separate SBL number, section block and lot number, for each parcel. So when, I think, Mr. Chair, when you read the notice and when Rory gave the summary, there was one SBL for this entire property. We tried to see from the town assessor as well as the county if we could get what's called a courtesy split, where they would provide an SBL simply for tax purposes. Then we would have our two SBLs. We wouldn't be here. We couldn't, the county was not comfortable doing that, the town wasn't going to do that either, so we require a subdivision. Two separate parcels, two distinct section block and lot numbers. That allows the project to proceed at that size. We went through different designs and variations. I know, Mr. Chair, you asked about this a bit last time as well. Where and why are you putting the lot line where it is? So we're putting it down the middle. We feel that that's the easiest way for drawing up reciprocal easement agreements between the two ownership entities of each lot. Right now it's in common ownership. It'll proceed that way for some time. We also find that just splitting up maintenance duties is easy with the line right down the middle. You don't get into too many, well, we have 29.47 acres, you have 28.3 acres in the roadway or anything like that. It's right down the middle. It did also, and further to that point, one thing I wanted to show the board was just a brief chart about what happens if we move the lot line and how it impacts our variances, to make sure that this is the variance before you, this is the minimum variance necessary. If you look through Town Law 267, as soon as you finish the 5 factors, it also says minimum variance must be granted. So I want to make sure that we turn over that stone. If I grab it,
Oh, boy.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So
Can you see?
I can also do it. But anyway, so what we've proposed now is the property line going right down the middle. If we look at 9755E2, the array must be set back 100 feet from all property lines. That leaves our setback between the two arrays at 15 feet to that line going down the middle. From edge of the array to the property line, it's 15 feet on both arrays, array 1 and array 2. If we were to set the property line all the way to the western edge of the road, that's on the side of array 1, then it's a 5-foot setback between the array edge and the property line. For array 2, it's a 25-foot setback from the array edge to that property line. And then it's flipped, of course, if we go on the eastern side of the road, it's 25 feet for array 1 to the setback and 5 feet for array 2. If we were to consider the property line on the west for our second variance, the fence greater than 4 feet in height must be 80 feet from all property lines. There's never a change, no matter where it is. Because eventually we get to those intersecting points of the fence and the property lines at our access point and the northern point. That's always going to be 0 feet. And then here's what happens on our third variance if we change up where the property line goes. Down the middle, as we propose it now, 0 feet on both sides. That's the side lot line. If we move it all the way to the west, the lot line actually runs through some of our turnaround points. So even if we shifted that property line all the way to the west, still need a 0-foot variance. I'm sorry, still need a 10-foot variance because we have a 0-foot setback from that side lot line. Now, if we went all the way to the east, meaning the property line was on the eastern side of the road, we get a 0-foot variance for array 1. I'm sorry, 0-foot setback for array 1, therefore a 10-foot variance. And there is one thing to possibly say, is a variance even required with respect to array 2? Because now that driveway is no longer on that property. It's solely on the property of array 1, and there is technically no 10-foot setback whatsoever. Now, the reason why we're comfortable with right down the middle is because what happens if the property line goes all the way to the east, yes, we might drop a variance with respect to 9740C4, but you have a larger variance on the array being set back from 100 feet on all the property lines. Where we went from an 85-foot variance, you then jump to 95 feet. And as I said earlier, we favor the middle. It's just a little cleaner through and through, but to the chairman's comment from the previous meeting, we did explore what the measurements look like and what the project would be asking of the board in the event we did shift the property line.
So that means if you shift the property line, you're gonna shift the total array, so you maintain the 5 megawatt. You're not going to reduce the size of the array to accommodate, I mean, that's sort of the, like, what happens if you make this comply?
If we make what?
If you make this, if you make, so you don't need a variance for these fences? What size array are you now allowed to have? What can you?
No,
what can the property con-
This thought experiment contemplates the array size staying the same for all of these.
I get that, I guess that's kind of my point.
What if you were trying to
What if you went
fit
to
in that
4.9?
property without having a variance?
We
What size
wouldn't,
array would you have? So you weren't.
Well, it would be, you can't have 10
Well,
unless
I,
it's
yeah,
divided,
I
so.
think the situation, so I can get this, a grasp of this, in the event that you did not, if you were able to put, say, 10 megawatt array into this property, and you didn't split the property, there would be no variances that you're seeing.
that is correct.
Yeah,
So that's kind of if this road in the middle of this was not being created, this would need 0 variances from the ZBA.
If the lot line was not being created, we would not be before the zoning board.
Yeah, so that's the only reason that there's any variances at all.
Correct.
which is what's
And I think-
come before us before, on the same
Yeah.
exact thing.
Right, I just want
The
to be clear that
law,
that's.
the law, is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no, I get that, my concern was that the road is divided between 2 properties. And in all practicality, when this project ends and this moves on to somebody else,
Yeah.
they're not gonna remove that road.
Yeah.
Now what happens, that's a mess down the road,
But
and that's
I
kind
think
of,
that's the decommissioning bond, that would have to be, the planning board, the town board's
but
purview.
does the bond, it covers the removal of the panels and all that, and the fencing,
The
but does it?
concept is to bring it back to where it was, I mean,
Does it?
I don't
Okay, that's
know
my-
what they're gonna include in there, so
But-
I don't, sorry.
Talk about it 2 ways. Decommissioning bond is only used in the event that the owner is never located. So the array continues for 20 years into its life, and you can't find the owner, and it needs to be decommissioned. The owner pays for that bond in advance, and the town can pull that bond if they ever need it. Decommissioning in and of itself is traditionally done by the owner, by the developer. And what it would entail is return of the site to pre-construction condition. So yes, the road would be removed. We would have then a property line splitting the site into approximately 2 29 acres parcels without a roadway.
What does it say, usually a 25-year contract usually with the solar?
Actually, the Solar Energy Partners owns this property. It's a bit different than the standard lease procedure, so they're the owners of the property. I think that the standard life of these systems is 25 years. That's when you start to see a dip off in the productivity and everything along those lines. The other thing I think to jump off Mr. Barrett's point is, the only variances are for that internal division line. The fence variance, for example, we are compliant. Let me actually jump to a better site details page for you. This is also in the drawings in your packet. The fence goes around the entirety of the outside of the array here. And if you follow my cursor, you can almost see, I'll zoom in a little bit actually. You can see the fence icon here, a line with a little circle running through it. Our existing property line is right here. We did measurements today. Everything from the fence to that property line is 80 feet or greater. So again, we are fully compliant with the code absent this internal line. Same with 9755E2, 100 feet from all property lines. That's measured by the panel edge. That's in compliance as well.
Around the whole property,
Yes. Except for the new line being created.
okay.
And that also requires 100 feet from the street, or the right way.
Building off that though, I'm a little concerned with the way that the first variance could like, would you then
When you
be
say
able to?
first variance, just identify it.
The variance regarding the 100-foot setback from the property line to the solar panels?
Identify it off the agenda one, which one?
55.
97-55.E2.
Got it.
Sorry,
Okay.
Rory.
That's all right, I'm just for the record, I'm not.
What prevents you from building another 100 feet of panels just up to the property line?
I'm not following, well, we would have to come back, that's a totally different
Another
site
variance.
plan, be another variance. It would
That's
have-
part of the conditions, and they're actually, if it, they would be in these conditions, which is that it's limited to the variance granted, there's no
It would have to be
expansion
a
or.
condition though, because like the way it is written would be,
It is a condition, just
Okay.
like it was on the last one, which is no expansion or,
To- Totally comfortable with that. I think essentially what your approval would do, it'd be locking us in to the location of that internal line and locking us into compliance with all other code provisions. So perhaps there could be an example where we go back to the planning board, which you need to do, and we identify another impact and have to alter a design. And maybe we have to maintain the capacity we wanna generate at, we shift a portion of array one to the west more. It might trigger that we have to come back for an additional variance. It would be separate and apart from what's before you. Our design as it stands, totally compliant, but for our internal division line.
so
thank you.
just to address the conditions, since we put them in, limit the variances to internal lot line only, prohibit any expansion or intensification beyond what was presented, tie the variance to the life of the solar project, or require compliance with, the plans and exhibits reviewed by the board.
Sounds
So
great.
any alteration, if they go up in front of the planning board and it tweaks it and they granted a variance, they could be back down here looking for something as simple as a couple feet to the east or west, because it didn't jive with the planning board.
That answers my question fully.
I don't feel like this is necessary for me to be crystal clear again, because there's a lot of people here, obviously, waiting. If this was, if a 10 megawatt array was able to be put in and state funded, whatever the case is, there would have been nobody would have known about it. It would have been brought to anybody's attention. It wouldn't be in front of any boards. There would just been a solar panel farm put into this property, because there was no variance needed.
No, we have planning board approval, we need a special use permit from the town board and site plan approval from the planning board.
Got it. I'm
Yeah.
saying in terms of,
Variances.
yeah, got it.
Yes.
But from a variance standpoint, there's nothing other than this lot line in the middle, otherwise there would be no conversation.
But yeah, like the fence is compliant until the internal lot line
So
comes,
again,
right?
I just
It's
wanna make
like,
sure
yeah,
everybody
no,
realizes that that's,
it's
the
tricky
only thing
because
that's
it's
applied.
someone else's law that affects our town, then jumps into our town code and
Right.
makes our town code non-compliant.
Right, and in the event that the solar panel, the farm is not there anymore, then obviously these variances are completely removed and it's back to a normal property.
Correct.
And normal code.
I think it's worth pointing out too, I think 9755, those two subsections are from the solar provisions of the law.
Right.
So it's 9740 is not, but as I think maybe this helps crystallize the chairman's point too, that driveway is being removed. So eventually that variance, well, it'd be tied to the life of the array per the conditions, but also that variance just can't exist anymore because there might be no driveway in the future.
Engage me with this academic question. If you were to comply with the variances, let's say you remove that strip of panels that borders each of the, each side of the road to make your project compliant, would that ultimately destroy the project and make it
Yes.
unprofitable?
It's not a feasible alternative to remove panels to comply with the internal setbacks required. It would significantly undercut the productivity of the project,
Okay.
and therefore the income it would generate as well.
And you say that based on like studies and findings, or just based on your professional experience and understanding of the projects?
Professional experience and understanding of the project. I mean, if we need to 100 feet from that internal setback, here, let me show you how much. I can show you 100 feet real quick. Take it from the meteor portion. So right in the middle of the array here, for example. I don't know if it might be tough to see.
That's good though, yeah.
Yeah, that's 100 feet. So
Okay.
basically, if it's helpful to this is one of our, is this a transformer?
Mhm.
If you were to take this line
Right,
and run it across.
right.
And then we'd have to do it on the other side as well, so
For
it's
sure.
pretty significant.
Yep, I think that,
Yeah, that helps.
yeah, that does show the significance of it, thank you.
Or do you guys have any other questions for the applicant or anything you want to discuss?
I don't think so.
Nope,
You wanna
So we-
have a motion to open a public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Let's give that to Bob.
We're gonna give it to Bob, we're gonna give it to Bob.
No.
You know?
All right.
All right.
in favor?
Adjourn the meeting.
Aye.
Aye.
Folks, if you wish to speak, just come on up. I guess we'll have you kind of come over to the corner of the first row there, just state your name and where you're from. The way.
I think you'll hear me.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Matt.
Thank
Just
you,
one
Matt.
second, sorry, just one last thing I wanna say is that if there's gonna be a number of speakers, which that's fine, just make your statement, and then the applicant's gonna take some notes down and, kinda try to address everything collectively so we don't get in any discourse. I understand this is
Well,
clearly.
there's three people that's involved with the Storms Road.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
State your name.
We're all here.
You gotta state your name. I know who you are, but you gotta state.
Matthew Bono, 14 Storms Road.
Thank you, the floor is yours.
That road was closed as a private road when they put 16 and 18 on Storms Road. They were supposed to put a guardrail down at the end of the road and it would never, ever be open. Where we going with the giving an easement for the guy to come onto a private road? Town does nothing on that road. You don't plow it, you don't maintain it, you don't do a thing on it. So how could you take and give an easement for that road?
Okay, Matt?
I mean, it's a very touchy piece of situation where we are, you know, I mean, you're, all of everything up there comes down to the reservoir that feeds the village. So all the runoff of anything that they're gonna be doing is gonna be affecting the village. Now, I mean, when they put the two houses in there was Doug Bloomfield, there was Mike Nazalise, there was the highway guy for the township. All your supervisors, your engineers, everybody was up there when it happened. Now, all of a sudden, they're gonna put a solar plant in up there. Right, I mean, we're all here for that
I
one
understand.
reason.
I'm just taking comments down and
Okay.
would contemplate everything. I understand.
Well, I wish my neighbors have anything to say, maybe they should say
Sure.
something.
Just if you wanna state something, just stand up, state your name and where you're from, ideally. Comfortable with that.
I'm Kim Laurie Devine, 16 Storms Road, one of the two properties Maddie just
Can you
mentioned.
speak up a little louder?
Sure can. So first, I'd like to go on the record to note that we received less than 24 hours notice on this meeting, on this public hearing. So I want, this is not fair to the residents to receive a last minute notice on a public hearing that impacts our property. It doesn't allow for adequate review. And I've contacted an attorney to look into the matter, and I'm requesting an adjournment due to the lack of notice. I am not against solar projects, but I am against not being informed about potential impacts on my property. So I have a lot of questions, but I would like them to be answered. I had gone onto the town's website. The only time the reason I became aware of the potential of a project that was being explored was reading an article in the paper. And then I did some research on the town website and got a lot of information, and I sent an email to the planning board with my concerns, and I was told there was not even a public hearing about it scheduled, I would be notified in advance, and that was well over a year ago, I believe. And I get a notice less than 24 hours about this, and I don't know what else I went on today, and I didn't have time to read through all the documents on there. There's been a lot more discussions, resubmitted plans, so, I don't know how this is impacting my property, and I need more time. So I'm requesting an adjournment on this matter before the board tonight.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Sure.
My name is Terry Ann Wheeler. I'm 18 Storms Road. And I just probably to reiterate what both Maddie and Laurie had said, is just the lack of information, the lack of notification to be able to review this and to be able to be a little bit more prepared, and we were looking for a little bit more information to understand potential impact. And again, I'm not opposed to the project per se, but we need some additional information and the access and how it will be used and that, so,
Understood.
okay?
Very good. Anybody else wish to address the board?
Catherine Navilio, 56 Goza Terrace.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
56 Goza Terrace.
Scrolls of Terrace, got it. Go ahead.
We received a notice. We did not pick up our letter. It was first attempt at delivery today. It was mailed in Syracuse on the 11th, so that is very short notice for us to respond. In addition, our neighbors across the street, the Cohens, at 57 Goza Terrace, are unavailable tonight, and they cannot respond to this notice. It's too short of notice. From what I've heard tonight, it seems like this variance is needed because of a favorability of funding that could be received by the solar company. And that should not impact the residents of our little enclave that we have. We all want to ensure that our property values are maintained. We're not against the solar company, but it seems this is something being done for their benefit. And we're unsure when something is delivered at the last moment. I mean, I found out about this letter 2 hours ago, and I ended up being able to make this meeting. It's not fair. This should be adjourned and tabled for another time. Thank
Very
you.
good. Anybody else wish to speak? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's Glenn Eisenring, 17 August Road, Goshen. We also received a letter today, just a few hours ago when I got home from work, at 6 o'clock. I mean, I have no way to evaluate what's going on here or why it's happening. Nice drawings up there are all fine and well, but I need to evaluate, and like everybody else has said, this has been before the planning board also. We have received no notice of planning board, of any
No prior
hearings.
meetings. This is the first meeting.
Okay, I'll just address something real quick, so procedurally, public hearings you're supposed to be noticed for. This is a public hearing. This is the ZBA, and if you guys received it late, I'm sure the board's gonna take that in consideration. So I just wanna, I want to clarify.
I think what we're all, excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's all right, I just try to clear up something because I don't want.
I just want you to understand that we're all trying to evaluate what's going on. This is the first that we're hearing about it. And that's not.
I understand that. I think that's pretty clear. I think the board will take that in consideration. So I wanted to clarify that you don't get noticed for regular meetings for the planning board or the ZBA. And I just wanna make sure that you guys are aware of that. But you'll get noticed when there's a public hearing, but that is procedurally, that's standard in every municipal board. So should you have been noticed earlier than you were tonight for the public hearing? Yeah, I would think for the purposes of getting the right result, of course. So I think that once the board gets a chance to speak, I think that's what will go on, all right? And then we'll figure it out from there.
When would we expect to be notified of another public hearing, like the timeline from when we're notified to when the meeting is?
Well, there's two answers to that. There's gonna be, I would encourage the applicant to re-notice on the traditional manner, which is certified, a mail. But we are gonna adjourn it, I'm assuming, to a later date. So you'd be noticed right now that there's a new date. It would happen before we leave the meeting. You can't, if the public hearing gets adjourned, it has to be adjourned to a date specific. All right, so that would take place presumably in the next 5 to 10 minutes. All right?
And thank you for
You're welcome.
answering that.
Yeah.
But in the future, other than this meeting being rescheduled, if there was another public hearing, what is the timeline that we would expect to be notified?
It should have more than 5 days' notice would be ideal. So whether that was, I can't explain why it happened to you because it's not in my control, and I'm sure that the applicant will adjust if it was on their end, and I'm not gonna put it on the US Postal Service, and they're not here to defend themselves. But the goal is to have everybody have the information and have the right determination. So I think with that being said, Chairman, do you wish to, I apologize, ma'am, I didn't mean to,
Are you done?
I'm sorry, I,
Go ahead.
I just wanna say that I don't
I
believe.
just need your name, I'm sorry.
Carolyn Bono, 14 Storms Road. I
yes.
don't believe that solar panel arrays, the size of this, should be in residential areas. The mechanics of the system, not the solar panels themselves, but the equipment used, emits radiation. The solar panels are at best 20% efficient, that's a known fact. And the solar panel arrays cause behavioral issues and anemia in young children. We are a residential area. I don't care if they put solar panels in town. As a matter of fact, the town owns 2 big lots right on Main that they can put their solar arrays there and it won't affect any of the residents. They should never be put in a residential area. They are dangerous and they should not be installed, and I am vehemently opposed to this, and I will do whatever I have to stop this project from going any further.
Understood. For point of clarification, where the zoning board of appeals, that would be an issue before the planning board and the town board. So I would encourage you to take that advocacy to them, and I'm not dismissing it. I'm just talking about what a role is. What the role is of the ZBA, which is to, things are allowed in a zone, and a variance is requested to apply what amounts to a quasi-judicial application of the code to the variance request, not whether the project is a feasible project for a residential neighborhood or the like. So I
Well,
just
it
want.
should be.
Well, it's just not. I'm sorry. That's not the role of the board. I'm trying to.
If any of
I'm
you
trying.
live
Hold
near
on.
this
I'm
and you
hold
have
on,
young
ma'am.
children, you
Hold
wouldn't
on.
want it
Hold
there
on.
either.
Hold on. It's important that you understand what the role of this board is, okay? Because your advocacy and what you want is very important. I'm trying to direct you to the right group to present it to, because that's not a factor in this particular analysis. Whether you think it should be or not, it's just the law doesn't apply it that way. So I'm trying to help you out. I'm not trying to shut you down. Planning board, you should be at that when they appear there, and go to the town board when there's a public comment section. Doesn't matter if they're on the agenda or not. You feel free to get up there and speak your mind. So that's what I would encourage you to do, all right? Because not that this board doesn't care what you have to say, but we have a particular role, all right? So I just want to make sure that's clear to everybody, all right? So, yes, you can speak.
All right, my name is Marcia Eisenring.
Hi.
And we're from 17 August Road. My question is, so more or less like what this solar company is saying, it's not cost effective for them to do this without the variances. Is that what they're saying? Is that what you're saying? Can he respond to me?
The public hearing is going to be adjourned. I think everybody knows that. I would think that it would be best
It's
that.
a legitimate question. Can
Okay.
he respond to that? Is it
Sure.
I'd
cost
like to wait
effective?
for all the comments.
I mean, I'm trying to do this meeting the right way, right? And I understand you have a question. I understand you have a question. You want it answered immediately.
Yeah.
I think based on the fact that some people are, let's get you guys back where you have time to review everything, all right? You can submit questions, so let's
Okay.
get the right, instead of reactionary, so getting the animosity is palpable in this room, and I'm trying to quell it,
No,
so
I
we get the
agree.
right thing.
No, I agree.
Right.
I just want everybody to know, like, is it, if they just did it without the variances,
Yeah.
would it be,
The
cost
applicant will address that
effective?
at the next
Yeah.
hearing, so,
'Cause, yeah,
and I'm not,
I'm the same way, it's,
it's a fair question. It's a
Yeah.
question that's asked by the board, so, yes.
My name is Michelle Garland. I live at 55 Scolza Terrace. And after learning about this solar farm that's going to be going in, hopefully not, I just want to say that there was one mention about it being in the area of scenic overlays, and I find it hard to believe that one of the reasons why we all live here in Goshen is for the scenic views. Well, around 10 years ago, my husband and I were going to purchase a piece of property at the end of Milburn Road. I think it was around 71 Milburn Road. And when we brought to the planning board to build, plans to build a house, we were shot down and could not build that house. We were told we couldn't build it towards the top of the property because the house would be above the tree line, the ridgeline view. So if one house was turned down from being built on, I think, a 10-acre property because it was going to affect the view somehow, I find it appalling that a project like this is even being considered right down the road. And that's all I would like to say.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name's Ron Devine. I live at 16 Storms.
Good evening, sir.
The word storms has been showing up now in the last few days, like 48 hours since we got our notice. It's really breathtaking how fast, you know, all of us have lived there for almost 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, we get to our house because of the lawyers working with Maddie and everyone. And all of a sudden, you guys are saying, hey, we're gonna start dumping trucks down Storms Road. It's not a public road. It's a private road. Can I ask how you got there? That you thought that private road was something to play with?
I'm gonna, again, state, and I think this is another reason for the adjournment, because you guys are understandably feel the way you do about your property, I get that. We're the ZBA, there are four municipal boards. I'm not equipped to address that question for you, right? I don't represent the planning board, this is the ZBA, there's variance requests. So, with respect to that, you get the right answer. I can't give you that right now.
And we got such short notice that the attorney was like, whoa, I can't do this fast. You know,
I'm trying to get you to the point where you have.
So I would just ask you to, put your hands in your own pockets, put your hands on your back pockets and say, hey, if I owned a house on Storms Road, where would I be right now? Just a thought, try to process it.
I processed it, I think this is becoming repetitive, and I understand.
I get it, it's understandable, but it is quite earth-shattering.
You're gonna have time, folks, okay? So, and then you guys can address the issues, but it's,
My name is Brian Pfeiffer, I'm from West End, New York, but I have relatives that live right on Schools Terrace.
Nice to meet you, sir.
The scenic what are they, the exact variance they're asking for, is it the property line, or is it the scenic overlay, or the watershed that's stated in the letter? Because in the letter that they received today, it says nothing about a property line variance. When did that?
That was on the website.
What I'm gonna encourage everybody to do is answering questions on the fly, not answering other ones, and then going to another public hearing. It's not productive towards what ultimately, the question's a fair question, sir. I'd rather have the questions come in where they can be addressed by the applicant or the building inspector or whatever consultant that's necessary to address it in a more productive fashion than is going on right here. And it's not your question in particular. If we're gonna adjourn the public hearing because everybody didn't get enough time to review it, and the questions are, they're a bit, some of them are off target, and I'm trying to redirect, but it doesn't want to be redirected. I'm just asking, if you want the respect of getting your information properly, allow us to give it to you.
Okay, well, let me give them some information so that they can research it.
Sure. I would ask that people submit written questions in addition.
If we're talking about the scenic overlay in that area, nothing has been talked about how this is gonna be fed into the Orange and Rockland power grid, whether they're gonna replace all the poles of Skulls Terrace, or they're gonna replace all the poles on Milburn Road.
Again, this is the ZBA.
How is that gonna affect the whole project? Because that's part of my opinion, part of the scenic overlay for this area. Is how it's gonna be fed.
All right, applicant.
One more question.
Yeah.
It's a question.
Yep.
Okay. Do I need to say my name again?
No.
Okay, great. My question is, how do we find out what where the access points are to the site?
So if I could just say, we're going to adjourn. The applicant is going to provide some form of communication that you can reach out and send a question to, right? The applications are available online. So everything should be there. If you don't have an answer, then it should be directed to our building department, the applicant, or the consultant. So I wanna make sure that that information is available to you. But if you go onto our town website, the application, the initial application, and any other documents that have taken place through the planning board process, which predates the ZBA's involvement, and anything related to the ZBA will be posted online. And hopefully that, with some time, will afford you guys the opportunity to review it and formulate additional questions if need be. I mean, so I don't wanna.
I just wanna make sure I understand. So basically go back and read all the documents, and then if I still have questions, like if I still don't understand where are the access points to the site, then I should reach out to, did you say building inspector? Who did you say?
Close the public comments, I'm happy to take over some of the information.
I just wanna know
I don't
how to
think
get
that's
questions
how I
answered.
want this to go right now. I think it's
How do I
best
get
that.
a question answered? This question,
I-
how do I get any future questions answered? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, yes. There's some that can be directed to our building department to answer certain things. I think, I don't wanna pile on Frank, but there, I mean, as far as Frank Lever, our building inspector, sorry, okay?
Yeah.
You know, the building department's best equipped to handle the initial questions.
Sure.
And funnel from there to where they need to go to get maybe the consultant to answer it or whatever, or point you to the website and things like that. That's probably the best starting point,
Thank you.
okay? My name's Rory Brady, I'm the ZBA attorney and the town attorney, my information's available. I prefer that you go to the in-house folks first because of, I mean, I don't mind if you ask me questions, that's my job and whatever, but I think it's best to funnel through there. Is that fair to you? I don't know, if you have a different direction, then,
No, that's fair. A lot of these questions, I'm Frank Love, the building inspector. If you go on our town website, you'll find the link to the building department, our email. You could channel the questions there, we'll disperse to where it needs to be. The applicant's here typing away, taking notes. I'm sure he's gonna be prepared to answer all these questions to the best of his ability. On the town website, we have planning board projects with a lot of information on it. I think this is on there already. A lot of your questions are focused towards the planning board tonight, not necessarily the zoning board. That's what our attorney is trying to establish. But all these questions will be answered.
they're fair questions, folks, you know, we get it.
Right there.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you for being here. We're all a community, trying to get the right result, so. Does anybody else, before I turn this way, does anybody else want to be heard before we turn it back to the board? Okay. My suggestion, I think you can gather what it would be, but I'll say it officially, would be to adjourn. I would encourage the applicant, although it's not procedurally necessary, I would encourage the applicant to renotice the neighbors, just for due diligence and as much notice as we can give, because there may be some neighbors that aren't here as noted. I would pick a date out, somewhere at least 6 weeks. We got the holidays and we want enough time for everybody to get up to speed, ask questions, maybe get information, and even have time for follow-up questions. So, we're looking at probably the February 3rd date, just to be really certain, because we'll have it should be enough time. Does that work for you, applicant?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Folks, that's a pretty decent amount of time. I hope that satisfies some of the concerns and allows you guys to catch up to speed, allows your attorney to get in touch with whoever on our end he or she needs to get in touch with, okay? Sorry, I took it back from you. Do you have something, Ari?
Applicant has no objections to an adjournment. I think it makes sense. The only things I want to note in response to some of the comments is we're not using Storms Road in any way for access.
I don't, but please don't start.
I'm just saying it out loud. That's fine. We'll renotice tomorrow.
You'll have the same opportunity
Yep.
to address, it's
Just
obviously.
feeling what it's, yep.
I get it. I know that you don't want information that's not whole sitting out there, but let's just, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion to
I'll
adjourn
make,
this meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn, to February 3rd.
At 7:30 PM or
7:30
soon thereafter can be heard.
I'll second. 10 seconds. Do you all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your service, though. It's a good thing you're here and we have this process. Thank you.
Good thing you all are here too.
Motion to adjourn the,
Before we do that, though.
you got it, Tom.
Do we have anything else we need to discuss, before we wrap up tonight? Maybe just an official thank you to Bob for his 32
Oh,
years.
jeez.
How about that?
I thought,
My appointment is up for reappointment, and it's every 3 years, I think. So I figure at my age, at 78, I give it to some young person to
Say
take
a
over.
whippersnapper. You
Or
can
in
say.
other words, some youths, we need some youths here.
thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
It was fun.
So now
Way to
we'll
run.
entertain your motion.
Oh, you're gonna adjourn the meeting?
No, you are.
No, I'm gonna adjourn the last
Okay.
meeting. I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
ZBA.
All in favor?